God is invisible, not because he cannot be seen like the invisible man, because the invisible man, after all, is a man. It's fantasy, of course, but the invisible man is a human being. It just happens that he's invisible by virtue of some astonishing, magical or scientific mechanism, but is still a man. So we have a difficulty understanding how this person is invisible, but we can describe this man. Likewise, air. Air is invisible, but we can understand it. We can have an adequate scientific or chemical understanding of air. But here, the invisibility that he's describing, invisibility means that we don't have an adequate understanding. It is absolutely other. Besides the hunger one satisfies, the thirst one quenches, and the senses one allays, metaphysics desires the other beyond satisfactions. The very dimension of height is opened up by metaphysical desire. This height is no longer the heavens, but the invisible in the very elevation of height and its nobility. To die for the invisible, this is metaphysics. To die for the invisible, this is metaphysics. I don't think until Levinas anyone gave such a crazy definition of what metaphysics is. You would never find anything like this in Aristotle or in the medieval discussions of metaphysics or in the post-medieval discussions, right? Metaphysics is a description of what is beyond the physical. It's not to die for the invisible. But this is how Levinas is using the word. And I think he's using the word to describe what the real impulse behind metaphysics is. What is this impulse? It's an impulse to move beyond the physical, to move beyond the finite, to move beyond the total, into the total beyond. Well, if you're making that kind of move into the total beyond, what is that? It's basically death. Which, if you think about it, also explains the impulse or the gesture that we call sacrifice. When we sacrifice anything, but when we sacrifice an animal on an altar, what is that? What is that gesture of sacrifice which defines all religions, basically? Any religion, not Judaism. It's sacrifice is older than Judaism. Even according to Judaism, sacrifice is older than Judaism. Judaism clearly lays this out, right? In the Torah, assuming, of course, that Judaism means the Torah, insofar as it is and think of a simple description, insofar as the Torah is a body of laws that begins with Moses, or if you like, let's take it back to Abraham. He has very few mitzvot, Abraham. He only has 3 mitzvot at that point. Let's say that's Judaism. Well, according to the Torah, if we go before Judaism, which is before Abraham is the earliest, Abraham and Sarah is the earliest possible point of Judaism. We can't say anything before that is Judaism. And yet the Torah tells us there were many generations before Abraham. So if we go back to the very, very beginning, we have the sons of Adam and Eve, Cain and Hevel. The first and only, well, not only, but the first thing we know about them is, what do they do? They sacrifice. Abel has this brilliant idea to offer, not Abel, Cain is the genius, right? Cain is a genius who has this brilliant idea. Wait, I'm a farmer, I have all this vegetable. Maybe I should take some of these vegetables and burn them. Why? Why would you do that? Don't you want to eat them? Of course I want to eat them. It's edible, it's delicious, but I want to burn them. I want to set them up in smoke. And Abel says, wow, that's a brilliant idea. I love that idea. You know what? I'm going to do more. I'm going to take that idea and I'm going to do what the Japanese do. I'm going to improve on that idea. I'm going to take the invention and create an improvement on it. I'm going to take the best, not just any sheep that I have. I'm going to take the very, very best sheep, the one that would have been the most delicious to eat, and I'm going to kill it. I'm going to burn that. Well, why would you do that? That was a potentially delicious lamb chop right there. That would have been so good, that lamb chop. Why would you burn that sheep of all sheep? But this is a human impulse. The sacrifice is a human impulse to move beyond what I have. In fact, think about it. It falls exactly into Levinas's description of metaphysical desire in terms of hunger in particular. Sacrifice according to the Torah, and not just according to the Torah. We know from umpteen studies in ethnology that sacrifice invariably involves the sacrifice of edible products. That is the quintessential sacrifice. Well, maybe the quintessential might be human sacrifice, which in some cultures is also an edible product. But typically a sacrifice is a sacrifice of an animal or of a vegetable, or a libation poured, a wine. In all these cases, we have something that can be eaten. I can eat this. I can drink this wine. I can eat this lamb. I can eat this cow. I can eat this grain and satisfy my desire. But one part of me says, no, don't satisfy that desire to eat this. Why? Because you will not be satisfied. It's not satisfying enough for me to eat this lamb. Yes, I need to eat lamb. I need to eat beef. I need to have a hamburger. I need to eat bread. I need to drink wine. I need to be satisfied. But if that's all there is, if that's all there is to bread, then I'm not completely human. Man does not live by bread alone, as somebody famous said. And by the way, that somebody famous is not Jesus. Right? Jesus is often quoted as saying the man does not live by bread alone. Jesus ripped it right out of Moses and right out of the book of Deuteronomy, where it says clearly, man does not live by bread alone. Right? Bread is not enough. I need to sacrifice bread. I need to put bread on an altar and burn it and completely sacrifice it. Why? Why did you do that? It doesn't satisfy your hunger. It's true. It doesn't satisfy my finite hunger, but it does satisfy my metaphysical hunger. My metaphysical desire, which is a desire to give up, to a desire to deepen my desire, and ultimately that is expressed as Levinas says, it's expressed even in death. It's a desire for death. This becomes a really interesting and complicated issue of how the human being negotiates with this infinite desire which expresses itself in a desire for death. It'd be interesting to read Freud's take on this as his, if you know of his analysis of this in Jenseits vom Lustprinzip, and Beyond the Pleasure Principle, where he talks about the Todestrieb, the death desire. Or there's also writings by Georges Bataille, which talks about the human desire to die. In any case, it's a complicated psychological issue of how exactly we desire death and how we replace our own death with the death of some other object, like the death of an animal. But I think Levinas is playing into that here, that there is this, that the desire for death, which is a human desire, is one aspect of this metaphysical desire. I don't think it's the only one. I don't think, for example, we can interpret Levinas in a simple way by appealing to Freud or Bataille, but in any case, I think there is a connection.